Hi, everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today I'm talking about the movie White Men Can't Jump. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go ahead and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So White Men Can't Jump is a remake of the 1992 movie, unlike the title says, based on a couple guys who hustle in basketball. As far as what I liked about the movie overall, I thought the cast was pretty good. I really liked Sinqua Wells as Kamal, the kind of main character there. I liked Teyana Taylor as his wife Amani, and Lance Reddick as his dad Benji. And I also appreciated James Earl as Mooch, the guy who worked at the gym. I thought he was really funny. I like the music overall, the actual songs that they picked for it. I'm not like a big rap music fan necessarily, but I thought most of the rap music in this I did like. And then there's a couple Sublime songs in there. I think they've got Santeria and Summertime. So great. Both songs that I like. Doing Time, actually, the song's called. Good times there. And I also thought the score was pretty good. I forgot to look up who did the score. Dang. But yeah, I thought for the most part, I liked the score. I thought it was pretty good. It had kind of a funky, cool kind of sound to it, and I enjoyed it. I thought the most of the basketball scenes worked for me. I don't know anything about basketball, so for all I know, it looked fake and terrible. But for me, it seemed believable. I was able to understand what was happening and what was going on, and everything was in frame, and it wasn't too close. So all good by my counts there. I thought both the actors seemed pretty believable as basketball players. Maybe Sinqua Walls a little more than Jack Harlow, especially by just Jack Harlow doesn't look like a very athletic guy. Neither do I. But I would say, yeah, he was actually pretty convincing, at least as far as I could tell in the basketball scene. I like the trash talking in this movie, which of course is a big part of the original movie as well. But yeah, I thought there were some pretty funny scenes there, some pretty funny trash talking with Jack Harlow's character in particular. One scene where he's kind of talking about, he's kind of, actually giving Jamal a hard time because they were getting a little too aggressive with the thing. He's like, they make a cute couple though, don't they? A couple of those I thought were pretty funny. I like the hustling aspect. Again, that's from the original movie, but just like Color of Money or The Hustler or any number of other movies like that, it's always fun to watch that kind of thing. I did like the flamethrower scene when they're like, "Oh, that guy's got a flamethrower," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, makes sense. Why not get a flamethrower, throw it in there?" It could have been real. I think there's people weren't really around, so it makes sense. I did like most of the side characters. I thought they were pretty funny. They popped up. A lot of it felt like maybe a little improv or something, but they just kind of like did their little bits. And most of them I thought were pretty entertaining for the brief moments that they had in there. I particularly liked a lot of the cameos from the comedians too that I recognized, like Arturo Castro as Jamal's boss and Andrew Schultz as Jeremy's drug dealer friend. Just to think about because I recognize them as comedians who are funny, and I'm like, oh, I know them. I've seen them in other stuff. But yeah, I just really like that positive, happy kind of character who's always just unflappable. It's always funny to me. As far as what I disliked about the movie, Jack Harlow is not an actor. He's not terrible. He's actually better than I expected in a lot of ways. But yeah, there's some scenes where he's a little less believable, and it's not bad. It's weird. It's like he's saying the words right. He's using the right inflection. I almost would say in some ways, it's the direction or the way that it was edited or cut that makes it bad. But and there's some scenes he's good. I think he pulls off some of the trash talking pretty well, and he's pulls off some kind of the humor, some of the humor kind of well. But it's also obvious that he's not a professional actor. He's a rapper, and it was a lot to ask of him to be one of the main characters in this movie. I did not like the sound mixing on this. Now I watch it at home. I've got an old sound system, but yeah, it's just the music would come on and it was a little too loud. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Sometimes it happens, but then there would even be dialogue, and the music's still too loud. And normally you would take the music down a step so you can hear what people are saying, and not in this movie. In this movie, the music is just playing louder than the dialogue, and it's frustrating to listen to and frustrating to hear. I didn't like any of the drama or most of the drama in this. There's a fair amount of drama in this. I feel like just nowadays you can't really make straight comedy anymore. You've got to have a lot of drama. And for this, anytime they kind of dropped the comedy and went to the kind of dramatic stuff about either Jamal having anger issues or about Jack Harlow having ACL issues or Lance Reddick, being sick and like all this stuff, it's just, okay, cool. I know we have to, give these guys some backstory, but like they spent a little bit too much time on it. And for me, I'm having a good time. We're playing basketball. Things are cool. All right, cool. All right, no, we got to go talk about how his dad's sick or whatever. And I'm like, glad to see Lance Reddick. Always good to see him on screen. I wish they would stop killing him. Same thing happened with John Wick. I'm like, hey, cool, Lance Reddick. They kill him immediately. See if they say Lance Reddick. Nope, he's dead now. Cool. They didn't know that, of course, when they filmed it, but still, it's just like, man, guys, stop killing Lance Reddick. It's tough. Yeah, so just some of that and just the pacing. Because again, like I'm having a good time, basketball, everything's cool, and then it just, we got to stop and slow down and do character development. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'm a little ADHD, I think, but yeah, I want to watch the movie for basketball and trash talk. I didn't want to watch it for whatever other kind of stuff. And that just made the movie seem kind of long to me too, even though it's, I think, an hour and 45 minutes or so, not that long, but it felt a little too long to me. I feel like I could have used some more judicious cuts in there. I also have an issue with the overall theme to the movie, which, I mean, there's stuff about meditation, which is cool, but you could argue that the theme seems to be, you don't need therapy, you need basketball. And that's not a good theme. I mean, I'm not in therapy currently. I never really have been, but that's only because I can't afford it. If I had the money, I would definitely go to therapy. And I feel like most people could probably benefit from therapy. And I've never met anyone who does therapy that's like, it was the worst thing I ever did. I regret doing therapy, you know? And this guy clearly has anger issues. Like, and I say it as someone with anger issues, like, you can't be going around punching people and choking people and stuff like that. That's not cool, dude. And they didn't really resolve that either. The fact that like he totally assaulted him. I mean, I realize basketball is part of the game or whatever, but like, also no, choking is not really part of the game, dude. Like choking is weird. That's like a dominant thing, and that's like a very much like, I don't know, man. People who choke their spouses are more likely to commit domestic abuse and murder them and stuff. Like, it was a weird way they did that. I feel like, I don't know, something maybe a punch is a little less personal or a little more. I don't know. That was weird to me, and the way that they handled it, and it wasn't really resolved. He just shows up playing Ed Sheeran, and it's like, okay. And then they didn't even really do anything to call back the Ed Sheeran thing that they had mentioned earlier about him. If they would have had him afterward, go turn that Ed Sheeran back up, and he starts singing along to it. Boom, there you go. Hey, a little callback to something you did earlier. But no, they just missed that opportunity. Kamal is too old. The actor is like 38. And I mean, he doesn't look 38. He looks great for his age, but like, it's a little weird because I don't know anything about sports, but it seems like he got called back to playing some minor league version of the Lakers or something, or maybe it's an old man version of the Lakers. But either way, I'm like, dude, this guy's like 40. They're not. I mean, unless it's just an old person's league, I don't know. But also, like, they kind of play it like Jack Harlow is like, oh, he doesn't get this reference because he's too young for that, and it's like, Jack Harlow's only 25. This guy's like 13 years older than him. What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. So I don't know if they wrote it with an older actor in mind for the Jeremy part. I think it's his character's name for the white guy part or what, but I don't know. And speaking of the white guy part, the title doesn't make any sense. In the original movie, that was kind of a part of the plot, is that white guys can't jump, and then they win the basketball tournament. From what I remember, I haven't seen the movie in 10 or 15 years. And then Woody Harrelson ends up betting Wesley Snipes that he can dunk, and then he ends up losing it, and he ends up losing the money. And that's kind of, obviously there's more to the movie than that, but like that's part of the whole movie and part of the theme, and you know, the racism and that kind of stuff. And this movie kind of dismisses it, like, oh, it's an old stereotype and nobody believes that anymore, which, okay, fine. But then also, like, why call it White Men Can't Jump? Why not just make another movie about hustling? Because they had the rights to it, I guess, and it's a IP that people are familiar with. But like, and so yeah, in a lot of ways, it doesn't really feel very much like the original, other than white guy and a black guy playing basketball together. I mean, there's some other aspects to it, but story-wise, they changed a lot to it, which I realize you need to update stuff for the time. And again, I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but I do remember watching it 10 or 15 years ago, catching it on TV and being like, yeah, it's a good movie. I like it. It's fun. Rosie Perez is in there, I think. I like it. Yeah. And this way, it feels like almost like a TV show, which makes sense because the people involved, Kenya Barris and the other guy, Doug Hall, write TV shows. And there's, in a lot of ways, just the humor, the jokes, the way they worked kind of felt like, you know, kind of TV show jokes, like when he's in the office with his boss and he's like, this didn't have anything to do with my work. And then he plays the next clip where he's like, you know, F you and FTX2 or whatever. So yeah, stuff like that. And maybe they should have made a TV show. Maybe they could have drawn it out and had a little more time with these characters and explained, you know, some of the family drama stuff that they clearly wanted to tell. Maybe it would have worked better in a 8-episode TV show. I don't know. So yeah, I think that's about it as far as my issues for that. I do kind of like the typeface for the title there. And I thought most of the production values were pretty good. Like the fake businesses they made look believable enough. I don't know why I'm going to back good stuff about it, but other than that, the movie was directed by Calmatic, who I believe the only thing he did before this was House Party, the House Party remake last year, I think. And I liked that. I thought it was actually better than I expected. And I think I was one of the only people, most people didn't seem to, but I thought that was pretty good. So apparently Calmatic is making a career of doing remakes of beloved 90s movies. I believe he's also done a lot of music videos in the past. And it was written by Kenya Barris and Doug Hall. Now, Kenya Barris is the executive producer of all of the Blackish type shows. He also did the You People movie that came out a couple years ago or a couple months ago with Eddie Murphy. And then Doug Hall works on a lot of the Kenya Barris shows. So Blackish, Throne-ish, Black AF. He also wrote Leprechaun 5, In the Hood. So yeah, it's fun. And then Ron Shelton also gets a story by credit on this. So I assume that means he contributed to the story. He was the original writer of the original 1992 movie. He also wrote Bull Durham, Tin Cup, Blade. Interesting. So yeah. As far as the Rotten Tomatoes on this one, critics are not liking this. 28% recommended, and audience a little bit better, 69%. And I would say I'm in that 69% where it's a recommendation for me, but just barely, like just barely over the line. I think for something, especially maybe I'm being a little nicer on it because it's on Hulu. So it's something you can watch, at home for not exactly free, but for whatever you pay for Hulu. I don't pay for it. I use my friend Rob's account. Thanks, Rob. Please don't change the password. But yeah, I think for something you put on TV, maybe if you're cooking dinner or folding laundry or something, not a terrible use of an hour and 45 minutes. So I think my score on this one's going to be a 6 out of 10. A light recommendation, just barely getting over the line there. But I think if they would have cut out some of the drama and if they would have done a better job of sound mixing, I would have liked the movie better. And it's frustrating because it's almost a good movie. And I think some of the humor actually really worked. There's a good 4 or 5 times where I think I laughed out loud, which for me is pretty good. And that's why I'm saying, as a comedy, its job is to make you laugh. And it did make me laugh at least a few times. And there were some other parts that were just fun, running away from the flamethrower and all that kind of stuff was cool. So yeah, but if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night. See you here again next week.